Transit planning in Toronto and the GTA is a broken process. Elected officials, while well-intentioned, are playing politics rather than addressing our real needs. We want to outline what has gone on in this region and bring some insight into how to solve these problems in a more practical way. Today's problems are obvious. Gridlock on major roads, overcrowding on subway and GO trains, reduced service on bus and streetcar routes, while ridership's increasing. But before we look at how to improve transit in the Toronto region, let's take a look at how we got into this mess in the first place. Since the 1970s, transportation planning has become increasingly political. Rapid transit decision-making has been taken over by the game of politics. Rather than finding solutions based on facts and evidence, political games have resulted in poorly thought-out transportation proposals, or worse, killing good projects when shovels are already in the ground. Too often, these decisions are made to appeal to voters just to win short-term support instead of actually addressing long-term problems. After each election, old plans get thrown out to reflect the politics of the day. Every change results in tens of millions of dollars in cancellation costs, additional engineering costs, and lost opportunity. Worse, nothing seems to get built with the current process. We can't sit back and let this political process threaten our city any longer. We need to trust the advice of our expert transportation people to develop smart plans, and politicians need to commit to sustainable long-term planning to make these plans a reality. The region's GO rail system is actually an excellent case where a logical and more consistent planning approach to transportation was taken. As early as the 1960s, planners recognized that expanding suburbs in the regions outside of Toronto would lead to increased commuting to the downtown core. They knew the roads couldn't accommodate all those people and identified commuter rail, now known as GO trains, as the best way to serve the regions around Toronto. Long-term plans were developed and then built with little political interference. To provide some perspective, 25 years ago, only 1 out of 5 people working in the downtown core lived outside Toronto, in the 905 region. Today, that number has jumped to 2 in 5, as more people have bought houses in the 905 region and started commuting downtown. GO Transit ridership has tripled over the same period, and investment in the GO Rail network has been consistently expanding to serve new growth. So, over those 25 years, 905ers traveling downtown were diverted from cars and subways onto GO trains. The proportion of commuters traveling by car dropped from 45% to 25%. Transit now carries 3/4 of all commuters to the downtown core from the 905. This is an impressive accomplishment, and it shows that good planning really does pay off. If you've ever tried to ride the Yonge University Spadina subway in the morning rush hour, you've probably watched full trains go by before you're able to get on one. Nowhere is overcrowding worse on the TTC than on the Yonge line and at Yonge Bloor Station, and there's good reason for that. Leading up to 2006, travel demands evolved as downtown workers migrated to the 905 regions. In 1986, 1 in 5 downtown workers lived outside Toronto. During this period, commuting from inner city areas of Toronto to downtown actually declined, freeing up some space on Toronto's subway. However, there was a dramatic increase in downtown commuting from York region. South York accounted for much of this growth, and almost half of these commuters used the TTC, causing TTC ridership from York region to almost double between 1986 and 2006. The past 5 years have seen major changes in commuting patterns. The biggest increases in peak work travel downtown have come from Toronto's inner city districts. Yonge subway trains are already jam-packed during peak periods south of Sheppard, and York region residents will eat up any spare capacity on the University Spadina line once the extension to Vaughan Metropolitan Centre opens. Over the past 25 years, the number of people commuting into Toronto from north of the city has almost tripled. York region has the lowest GO train usage of any of the surrounding regions, and those commuters disproportionately choose to take the subway, where commuters living in Halton, Peel and Durham overwhelmingly choose GO trains for their downtown commutes. In the 20 years from 1986 to 2006, we saw an increase of almost 5,000 local transit trips from York Region to downtown in the morning rush period. Most of them fed right into Finch Station. And most people who ride the Shepherd subway feed into the Yonge Line too, and are headed for downtown Toronto. And this kind of growth is more than the city is seeing from anywhere else. While there have been increases in total downtown commuting from Peel and Halton regions, those increases have been accommodated by more frequent GO train service. TTC use by commuters living west of Toronto has actually declined over time. Plans are underway to increase the capacity of the Yonge Line, including the new, more spacious rocket trains and a modern signal system, which should allow the TTC to operate more frequent service. However, given projected increases in subway and LRT usage, including the new Eglinton Crosstown line set to open in 2020, overcrowding is only going to get worse. There are lots of problems facing transit in the region, but none so pressing as the capacity issues on Toronto's main north-south transit artery. More than 250,000 people experience this problem every day, and no one is promising a solution in the short to medium term. For any solution to actually work, it's going to have to find a way to divert people from the Yonge Line and offer another way to get into and out of the downtown core. The Downtown Relief Line will address these and other issues, but in the long term. The continued health of Toronto's economy requires more immediate action. In the first two episodes, we discussed transit problems facing Toronto. Now let's look at some of the proposed solutions. Elected officials and candidates have put a confusing range of rapid transit proposals on the table. These plans are designed to appeal to voters to win short-term support instead of actually addressing real transportation problems. For example, the proposed rapid transit extensions on Shepherd Avenue East from Don Mills and to Scarborough Centre from Kennedy Station have not been well thought out. They don't address the most serious problems facing most Toronto residents: increased congestion on the existing TTC subway system. In fact, they're more likely to increase subway crowding. If that weren't enough, they don't even offer much added value to current Scarborough residents and workers who continue to suffer from inadequate local bus services. Other proposals want to use the existing GO Rail corridors within Toronto to improve local transit, ignoring the primary function of the GO Rail system. Plans to repurpose these routes ignore the logistical problems and physical constraints that would arise, including the logjam we'd create at Union Station. By any stretch, these proposals cannot be implemented in the next 10 years. Another proposal, to upgrade GO to Express Rail, effectively transforming it into a true rapid transit system, is impossible in the short to medium term. There simply aren't enough potential riders to justify two-way, all-day express rail service in every corridor. This proposal would dramatically increase GO's operating costs while providing only limited new revenues. The majority of current York Region TTC users would choose GO trains if the lines in their area were more competitive in terms of price and service. Adding capacity and frequent service to 3 GO Rail lines that serve York Region would be a good start. In fact, one of those lines serves Scarborough too, and could get people downtown faster than a subway extension. Implementing fare integration with the TTC at Union Station will also help encourage commuters to choose GO. These aren't the only things we need to do, but they are solid building blocks. We can build upon them to create smart solutions for now and the future. It's vital that we invest in transit both now and for the future. Aside from the fact that many people cannot or do not drive, such initiatives are essential to the economic health of Toronto's core. The downtown could not exist without the TTC and GO Rail systems. Together they carry 250,000 commuters to their jobs every morning. If every one of those people tried to drive to work, traffic would literally come to a halt. A recent TTC report estimated that by 2031, downtown is expected to grow by 41%, or about 90,000 jobs, and an additional 60,000 people will live in the core. If that weren't enough, the number of morning transit trips into downtown is expected to jump by more than 50,000. By that time, gridlock will cost us $15 billion a year in lost productivity, and average commute times are expected to become even longer. Investing in transit isn't only important for the downtown. but it offers essential mobility for the 1/4 of Toronto households who don't own or have access to a car. They're passenger captives, people who depend on a reliable network of services to access schools and jobs in Toronto and across the region. Transportation decision-making by elected officials should be informed by experts and approved by politicians. Professional staff should identify the current and emerging transport problems. They're the ones to formulate realistic and alternative plans and policies that address anticipated problems and issues. Choosing transit technologies and station locations should not be the subject for election campaigns. Talk to your elected officials. Pester them if necessary. Let them know that you want to take politics out of transit planning and leave the details to the transportation experts. Toronto's future depends upon it.